Victor Wembanyama, he's been busy. He broke bread with some Spurs legends and then tweeted this out saying, quote, couldn't ask for better role models. I mean, when you make David Robinson look small, what the heck is going on here? Now, Victor, he spoke about his introduction to San Antonio on Saturday during his first team press conference. Take a listen.
Probably one of the best, in probably a couple hours, I learned more about the NBA than in my whole life before, It's such comforting to see that these people who are so important to the city of San Antonio and to the franchise are such kind people and generous because they genuinely wanted to share with me their experience. And, I feel like they've already started to take great care of me.
We're thrilled that we're able to bring Victor on board. He's obviously a heck of a talent. Because of all the hype, he'll have a target on his back. So we'll be most interested in setting a framework and an environment where he's comfortable, where he can be Victor. Of course, anybody would be excited about getting the #1 pick in a draft. So I'm very excited. You don't want me to jump up and down, do you? Put on a show for you? I'd do a somersault, but I'd be out for 3 months.
There's nothing that says I'm very excited like I'm very excited. Gotta love Greg Popovich. Danny, you know Pop well. You played 8 seasons with the Spurs. You played several years with Tim Duncan, and obviously they had that dinner there. But what do you think that he can provide specifically? What guidance for Victor?
I think Pop, he's always great at humbling people, but Victor's coming in humble himself. You can tell in his interviews. His crying after everybody in the world knew he was going #1. He did too, but him crying shows that he's very appreciative and grateful for being where he's at.
Yeah.
But Pop can definitely guide him to, I guess, be more efficient of who he is. He's going to find his strengths and weaknesses and obviously accentuate those and kind of let him pull out the other things that he did out his bag slowly but surely until he becomes great at them. But all in all, he's going to help him be a professional, and that's why those guys are there around him. Timmy, Tony, and Manu, he makes them all look small. But having those guys there to be able to mentor him, allow him to understand, life outside of basketball, just being a professional and being an NBA and what it takes to win. And I think Timmy's going to be a huge impact on him becoming who he is and teach him just the intangibles of how to win and how to make himself great, and which is Timmy made everybody else great around him.
How did he do that?
He became a great screen setter. He became a great passer.
Yeah.
Not just a rim protector and a scorer, but he made sure that everybody around him was important and became, played the best of themselves, which made the game easier for him. So I could see him teaching, Victor a lot of those intangibles, obviously defensively, offensively, but of how to make his team and people around him better.
Ramona?
So I was actually impressed that the Spurs leaned into this. That they had a big celebration for him. They had a big party. I mean, Pop didn't get out there and dance or anything like that, but it's very un-Spurs-like to have a big celebration like this. Like, usually you expect it to be muted, and I think that is what shows. I mean, they just put him right next to David Robinson, put him right next to Tim Duncan, and said, you're going to be the next one. And that's a lot to put on a guy like that, but he really is this guy. And I don't know if it's going to be this year. It'll take 2 or 3 years to get there. But, my memories of Tim Duncan, I mean, he was always, he didn't say much to us in the media. He kind of walked by and say, nah, but I know he talked to you as players a lot whether it be texting you, whether it be talking to you. Like, I'm curious, like, what kind of mentorship he does day to day, because he's still around all the time. I see him just off in the side.
Yeah, no, Timmy was great. We did a lot of things team-wise in terms of either paintballing or going to dinners, and a lot of those things important. So, but he'd also pull guys aside. Even though he's quiet to the media and outside the locker room, in the locker room, he was very vocal. He would talk to us time and time again on numerous occasions. This is where you need to be. This is where you need, be comfortable. Don't worry about it. This is what I'm going to do, and make sure. And we constantly communicated throughout the day, throughout the games. And I remember one specific story that comes to mind when people ask me, Timmy's leadership. It was 2013 finals, my first finals, the biggest stage of my career. And, I'm nervous. Everybody goes in thinking about the game and locked in. And to keep things light, Timmy will send me a text randomly like, on this play, where am I supposed to be? I know damn well he knows where he's supposed to be, but he's making sure that I'm loose and I'm locked into the game and I'm not thinking too much about it and just going out and having fun. So Timmy was great with that, and that's why anybody that played with and alongside Tim would say he's probably their greatest teammate.
Victor, I mean, to see those mentors alongside him, he's already impressive. Talking to him a couple of times over the last couple of months, he's incredibly impressive. But to have those folks alongside him to help him reach that next level, the sky is the limit for him. I do want to shift, though, Perk, to the number 2 pick, Brandon Miller, because shortly after he was drafted 2nd overall by the Charlotte Hornets last Thursday, he had some interesting comments on the lofty goals for the franchise. Take a listen to what he had to say.
You said post one of those workouts, you wanted to come in, you wanted to make that a winning team, you wanted to do everything that you could to help kind of turn that franchise around. So now that you are a part of that team, how do you see yourself fitting into the mix?
Like you said, just making all the winning plays, doing whatever the team needs me to do. I think I see the Charlotte Hornets in the NBA Finals next year. So hopefully we'll get the big trophy at the end.
I mean, you gotta love some confidence, Perk. You need a little bit of it entering the NBA. What's that face? What's that face?
Hey, look, keep interviewing Brandon Miller. The more interviews he get, the more intelligent I sound when I come on here. I look intelligent as hell. He gonna keep talking and speaking interviews. The Paul George being the GOAT to next year, them being in the NBA Finals. Keep going, young fella. You making me look good. But look, guess what? I love it, right? The number 2 pick coming in, and all of a sudden he's having this level of confidence because he wants to win. He wants to take this franchise to a certain level. You got to have that type of swag. You got to have that type of, mojo about yourself. So I'm not knocking him for having it and having that type of confidence.
Right.
But he just needs to be prepared first and get through his first day in training camp as a rookie and get through his first regular season game before he start jumping to the NBA Finals.
Yeah. Coming in with confidence is cool. The Charlotte Hornets are going to be better next season if they can stay healthy, get Bridges back, all of that stuff. But, keep the confidence up. We like confidence on this show. You gave us one of the greatest memes ever, the fake laugh with your now head coach, Steve Kerr. Do you have to have a better poker face? Now, I have a terrible poker face, so I can't help you with that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a funny one. That's always in every group chat that you're in, probably for the rest of my life.
I can admit I have definitely used it in the group chat. Chris, you told Lindsay Zarniak last week that it felt like coming to the Warriors was a full circle moment. So is a championship the only thing you see missing from your long list of accomplishments in this league?
I would say so. That's pretty obvious. I played going into my 19th season, so every season it's been the same plan: go in and try to win a championship, and that's not going to change this year.
Ooh, all right, free agency, it starts this weekend, and you know what that means. We need more of our front office insider, Bobby Marks. So, Bobby, no one understands the salary cap better than you do. So which team are you paying the closest attention to right this second?
Malika, it's the Houston Rockets, and they control free agency. $64 million in cap space, a lot of different directions they can go in. Certainly, for a player like James Harden, the problem with going after Harden, that only leaves him with $17 million. This is the option that I like, splitting that money up. We're going to put Fred VanVleet in there.
Okay.
We're going to put Dylan Brooks in there.
Ooh.
And then we're going to do a little more shopping and go get Bruce Brown.
Oh.
That's how you do it as far as splitting up that $64 million in 3 players instead of 1 player like James Harden.
Perk, what do you think?
I actually love that by Bobby because now you actually could compete to get into the postseason and you bring in some veterans and still build it for the future at the same time. I love it.
Bobby, break down one more team for us here, the Kings. They made some interesting moves last week. How do you see them fitting into the free agency mix here?
They are the wild card team right now. We didn't think they would be. $33.5 million, a lot of different things they can do. What they can do is they can bump up Domantas Sabonis' contract to $30 million. That would still leave them some room. Here are some power forwards they can go after.
Okay.
What happens if things go haywire in Golden State for Draymond Green? Jeremy Grant. They can certainly bring back Harrison Barnes. Maybe even a player like, let's put Kyle Kuzma in there and slide him in there. Sacramento has a lot of different options as far as how they can continue to tweak their option. Certainly with $33 million, that gets them a player like Kuzma, maybe even a player like Jeremy Grant.
Wild card in free agency. What do you think of this one, Danny?
Yeah, I like it as well. I think they should do more important focusing on Harrison Barnes, bringing him back. I think he's more of the team fit for them. If they can't get Jeremy Grant, I don't know if I like Kuz there as much, but I do think this does make sense for them to go after a guy like that, or space it the way Bobby spaced it anyway.
They got a little taste of the playoffs last year, and you know that De'Aaron Fox wants to push it farther. Perk, what do you think of this?
I don't like Kuzma there because Kuz seems like he won a bigger role, and they already got a culture there that's established of who their guys are. But Jeremy Grant would definitely be an upgrade, but I would love to see them bring back Harrison Barnes, a guy that they're familiar with in that locker room.
Bobby, we spent some time earlier in the show talking about notable free agents that we could see on the move, players that could be shifting the landscape in free agency. Other than the two teams that we've talked about, is there any other player or team that you have your eye on as we inch towards Friday?
I'm interested in what happens with Brook Lopez in Milwaukee. I mean, certainly Brook. What happened was Naz Reid coming off the board yesterday. That opened up. That basically gave Brook Lopez probably a $4 million pay raise right around there. And what happens if he does not re-sign in Milwaukee? What happens if he goes to a team like Houston? What's next for Milwaukee outside of bringing Chris Middleton back?
I know that this is the question that is on Danny Green's mind.
Yes, this is the guy who I talked about earlier. I think was going to be a big factor and that's going to impact free agency. So whatever Brook does, I think is going to make a decision or decipher whether Chris Middleton does or not.
Right.
But he can definitely change free agency. He can change the whole organization of Houston if he does end up going there.